Well, I pulled out a Husker shirt today, but this is not a Husker video. This is actually just another Frozen video. Well, the second video for the Frozen, for the original Frozen movie. Today I'll be talking about Kingdom Hearts, Once Upon a Time, Ralph Breaks the Internet, any of the miscellaneous shorts that they've had, and many other miscellaneous things that kind of go along with Frozen. So we'll just start off the bat with Kingdom Hearts. Pretty much what happens in Kingdom Hearts for the Frozen section is it's basically just a retelling of the first movie. They land Sora, Donald, and Goofy land in the world of Arendelle, pretty much just after Elsa is running away from the ball because they interact with her when she's running up the mountain. And they basically just, recreate the movie. They have the Let It Go sequence recreated in the game, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy kind of watch certain things that happen with that. They're there when it happens. And then their main task in the game is to help Anna and Kristoff and Sven and then Olaf help get them to where Elsa is. There's so many games where Olaf falls apart and you have to put him back together. And different things like that, and you have to work on helping get to Elsa. I apologize if you can hear a door in the background. My mom just walked back into the house. And the dog. But what we basically see throughout the course of the game is basically, as I said, a retelling. You have to fight Marshmallow at some point, and he looks really cool in the game anyway. Anna and Elsa and Kristoff and Sven and Olaf are there. Hans is there. You also have to kind of help protect Anna and Elsa at various points because their Organization 13, which is this very evil organization in the Kingdom Hearts games, are actually working on trying to get a hold of Anna and Elsa because they think they might be these new princesses of light. So it's still kind of the same basic structure as what happens with the Tangled section of the Tangled world of Kingdom of Corona in that world, in the same Kingdom Hearts 3 game. You do help with that. You get ice powers. You have to scale the mountain and stuff like that to get to Anna. Or to get to Elsa, and then you help get them back to Arendelle, and then after the story section is complete, it's basically you just you can run around and grind and level up, and there's a giant freaking ice dragon that's cool and fun to fight. Once you're strong enough to beat it. And you get Marshmallow as a power up that part of the thing that they do with Kingdom Hearts is that you build up enough power, and then you can activate a special move, and a different Disney character pops up. And in the case for the Frozen section, it's Marshmallow that helps you. There's not really too much else with that. You help Anna and Elsa and everything, so it's just this fun thing. And Marshmallow's your friend, Olaf's your friend, the rest of them are your friends. Hans still gets thrown in jail. Basically that you help certain things along, and you get to watch certain things happen. Kind of with those ones, it's just you're there to help things along, but, and protect Elsa and Anna from Organization 13. And then we have two shorts that they did for Frozen. The first one was Frozen Fever, which is 2014, and when that one came out, and I very much like this one. It's the concept of it's Anna's 19th birthday, and Elsa just wants to have this super perfect, exciting celebration in regards to her sister. She's got Kristoff and Sven and Olaf there helping her, trying to get this great cake ready, trying to get these, poster, this, happy birthday sign ready for her. And Elsa and Kristoff seem to be getting along okay. So it's obviously been a couple of months since the end of the first movie, and she wants this birthday party to just be perfect for Anna because it's the first birthday party that they've had since Anna was 5, where they actually got to spend it together, have fun, where Elsa wasn't locked away in her room. For the last, 13 years or so. And then, of course, they had the coronation and that birthday and blah, 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 blah that happened there, which see first movie for a whole story there. One of the gags that they do in the short, which I like, is they have it that Anna or Elsa is trying to figure out, the cake topper. And, she tries, one where it's just, the two of them you know, standing next to each other very solemnly, and then like no, and then like it's then with like Anna frozen and Elsa like no, and then like no, and then like another one where it's just like the two of them skating and having fun. Um, and part of the problem that happens, and it is of course it's called frozen fever because Elsa gets a fever, and every time that she sneezes, these cute little snowmen thing, I think they're called snow geese or snow geese or something like that, start to appear every time that she sneezes. And, you know, part of her, you know, and she's trying to like ignore the fact that she's not feeling very well because she wants this day to be perfect for Anna. And, you know, she goes and she gets Anna, and, you know, Elsa is like able to, you know, give them nice pretty dresses and everything, embellish their dresses with her magic, because she's obviously been practicing with her magic, so that way she doesn't go out of control again. She's, you know, taking Anna all over the kingdom with like, following the string that leads Anna to all of her different gifts. There's a clock, there's, you know, fun new clothes, there's food, there's, you know, all this type of different references to the movie and stuff like that. And like during this time frame, all the little snow G's that keep appearing every time Elsa sneezes keep causing problems for Kristoff and Sven and Olaf. And oh, I hear the dog. Rainy, Rainy, come here, come here, come on. We have dog. Hi, come here, come here, come here. There we go. Oh, hello. He's like, I got a walk this morning. It was nice, Mama. You walked, didn't you? Yeah. You get a nice, good neck pets. You can sit and be part of the video. You want to lay down? He's like, no, I'd rather put my head out the window, but you have that closed and covered. So, I don't know. I'll stand here. But the little snow G's keep causing problems for, you know, Olaf and Kristoff and Sven. And, you know, they're like wrecking the party, you know, they're trying to protect the cake and like all this other stuff. And they keep messing up the signs and like rearranging it into like different anagrams of happy birthday Anna. So there's like hippie banana party and like something else, which is just kind of funny. And Olaf keeps making the joke is like, I can't spell. So there's like that. So it's, you know, they're running around all over the kingdom. And so it's, you know, the other one was, so it's dry banana hippie hat and then happy hairy ant band were like the two different anagrams that they come up with. And eventually it basically is just Anna gets Elsa to stop, and she's, you know, she loves her presents and everything, but she wants to take care of her sister because she doesn't want her sister to be sick. And she, you know, spends the rest of the day just taking care of Elsa and, you know, helping Elsa feel better and everything from her cold. And that, well, from her fever, because she doesn't get colds, she gets fever, of course, because that's a joke. And at one point there's like this moment where like they have to make a reference to Hans. So like there's like this moment where like something gets flying all the way from Arendelle to the Southern Isles and lands on Hans, who is currently basically forced to be a stable boy, which is just funny. Oh yeah, there's this birthday horn that she has to do, and she sneezes when she blows it, and it blows this gigantic snowball all the way to the Southern Isles. That's what it was. And what they do is afterwards, while Anna is taking care of Elsa, Kristoff and Sven and Olaf take all the little snow G's up to the Ice Palace where Marshmallow lives, because the Ice Palace is still there and Marshmallow still lives there. They take them all the way up there, and they're like dropping them off with Marshmallow, and he's just like, Marshmallow's just looking at all of them, and Kristoff is just like, don't ask. I like Frozen Fever. It's a cute little thing. I believe it premiered before the live action Cinderella that they did with Lily James and such. I believe that's when that one aired. Hey, Peppy. My puppy. And so we have that, and then the other short that they have came out in 2017, which is Olaf's Frozen Adventure, which this one takes place at Christmas time in Arendelle and everything. And, you know, everyone's very happy and buzzing with excitement and everything. And, you know, they're just getting ready for this big party and everything. And, you know, Olaf wants to help because he's, you know, full of Christmas spirit and everything. I think I've seen this one. I think it's just been a lot longer since I've seen it. and I didn't rewatch it before this. Frozen Fever, I've seen enough times that I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember that one. This one I just haven't seen as much as I think. But I think I think if I remember correctly, just like Olaf wanders all over the kingdom. Either I don't know if it's he's looking for the meaning of Christmas, or he's like just gets lost and he has to wander all over the kingdom, and then like Anna and Kristoff and Sven and Elsa are just like, well, where's Olaf? And then they have to go and try to find him and everything. And of course, Elsa and Anna want this to be a nice Christmas party because of the fact that, it's the first Christmas party that they're going to be spending together in 13 years and everything. So we get other references to this show and everything. And, Olaf is like off wandering around and, they have to go and find him. It's been a while since I've watched it, so I don't remember it as much detail as I do the other stuff. But, eventually they do find Olaf and they take him back to the castle, and then they have their nice big party as, a big family and a big family Christmas party and a big Christmas party for the whole kingdom. Because that's why the Anna and Elsa are. Not too much else there. I do believe that both of those shorts are considered canon to the Frozen story that goes along with the first and the second movies. And then we get into Wreck-It Ralph, or Ralph Breaks the Internet. So both Anna and Elsa appear in Ralph Breaks the Internet. They are both in the Oh My Disney World, where, Vanellope goes when she's trying to, gather up people to come and watch Ralph's videos and stuff like that. And she ends up in, of course, the room where all the princesses are. And this is always just weird because, unfortunately, as sad as this is to point out, Elsa and Anna are not official Disney princesses. They are not part of the Disney princess lineup. And also, Elsa is a queen. And, currently now, since Frozen 2, Anna is a queen. Both of them have been queens of Arendelle. And so they're no longer princesses. Whereas in this case, they're both part of the princess lineup in the room, even though they are not official Disney princesses. Yeah, that always just bugs me. There's other Disney characters that should be princesses but are not, but, reasons. Because Disney. But, all the princesses, when Vanellope appears, are ready to defend themselves, and we see Anna there, and we see Elsa all ready to, fight and defend themselves. Because Anna has probably spent some more time with, Kristoff, getting a little bit more, honing her ffighting skills and such like that, just because she can. And Elsa, of course, is quite able to protect herself with her, powers. And, Vanellope's like, no, wait, I am a princess. And what ends up happening is, they're all just like, well, what happened with you and blah, 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 blah. And, you have daddy issues, you have, all this other stuff. And it's like, Elsa's, one of the ones you have, magic hands and stuff like that in regards to, being able to, summon ice. And I don't remember if it's Anna or if it's someone else that says to Vanellope, did everybody assume that all of your problems were solved because a big, strong man came into your life? Yes! She is a princess. And the other thing is, I don't think Vanellope is considered an official Disney princess either, even though she does meet all the different criteria. I believe she does. Same thing with Anna and Elsa, as I stated. But what we see is, of course, Vanellope then gets all the girls into some more comfy clothes and stuff like that. And Anna's clothes say, finish each other's. And, it's supposed to be the reference to, love is an open door, where it's like we finish each other's sandwiches and, all this other stuff. And, she's, lounging around with the other, Elsa and Anna are lounging around. Elsa's shirt says, just let it go, I think, if I remember correctly. The dog's trying to look out the window. Rainey's like, it's not open enough, Mommy. I cannot look out window yet. Well, then lay down and you can put your nose out there. I love the dog. But, Anna and Elsa are, of course, having fun with Vanellope, as are the rest of the princesses, and they're talking and everything. And, as I said, Elsa's shirt says, just let it go. Of course, references to, let it go. And a joke about how big the music is, how big that song got and everything. And of course they've done various references to Frozen and other Disney movies, of course. Since then, Zootopia has a reference to it with, the water buffalo guy that's in charge. And some of the other characters and stuff like that do references to Frozen, of course. And of course, at the end of Ralph Breaks the Internet is, of course, when when Ralph is falling from the sky, all of the princesses band together to save him, and like Elsa uses her power to create this, uses her power to like freeze water from Ariel into this, slide and everything that they can use. I don't remember what Anna does, but I do think that she does at least something helpful while they're doing it. Because it's all the princesses working together, of course, to save Ralph, which I love. Another reason why Elsa and Anna should be considered Disney princesses, and why Penelope should as well. And they're now Ralph's friends along with Penelope's friends, of course, via the internet. And then we move on to Sophia the First. Olaf appears in Sophia the First. Elsa and Anna do not, as far as I'm aware. When I was looking stuff up, I didn't see anything about Elsa and Anna being in Sophia the First, but I could have been wrong about that, but Olaf is. And again, I haven't seen it, don't really plan. I've watched a little bit of Sophia the First just because it's like, well, this looks interesting enough, and I at least kind of want to see what's going on here. In regards to Sophia the First. The other current kind of, kind of princess one that was going on Disney Channel was also Elena of Avalor, which I very much liked as well. And I might do a video about that at some point in the future, but I haven't decided yet. But then we move into the main body of what this video is going to be about, which is the Once Upon a Time setup for Frozen. Now, the way that they handle Frozen in Once Upon a Time is a little bit different than they've handled the rest of this, than they've handled a bunch of the other fairy tales so far. The dog looks sad. Hi. Is the window not open to your satisfaction? He's like, I just cannot look out the window, Mom. Yeah, well, I gotta record and the window messes with the light. You can have the window when I'm done. But what they did with Frozen, for the Frozen section of it, because it's like it ends at the Frozen comes in at like the end of like, I think season 2 or 3, one of the two. I don't remember exactly, but season 2 or 3. And what we see happen is Emma and Hook have gone to the past and they've come back, and they bring back with them this urn, and then this urn or this jar gets opened up, and out of it comes Elsa. And then Elsa, of course, we don't know how she got into this jar, and now she wants to go and find Anna, because, of course, Anna is her sister, and she wants to find her and, make sure that she's safe and everything. And she then puts this giant ice wall up around Storybrooke to prevent anyone from leaving. But what also happens is basically they still state that pretty much everything that happened in the original movie still happened for Frozen in regards to, Hans and Elsa and Anna and Kristoff. I don't think we see Olaf. Olaf may not have been a part of that. I don't know yet. But the other ones are all there. We see Sven as a reindeer that plays Sven. They did a great job on casting for all of these ones in regards to, which other, who they had cast as Elsa and Anna and Sven, and, well, Sven was just the reindeer, but Kristoff and such. They did a great job on those castings. I'd say the characters, they do a great job of going off on them, because like Snow White is very different from the way that she's portrayed in the original Disney movie, and as are several of the other princesses. They're a bit different just in regards to some of the other things that we see about them being able to do, because of course, good comparison, Snow White in the original movie is not shown to have she has like cooking skills and house cleaning skills, and she can sing, and she can talk to animals and like make them her friends. Whereas with what they see with, Snow White in Once Upon a Time with Mary Margaret is she is able to hunt, she is able to steal, she is able to fend for herself, she can fight really, really well. And they show a lot more of the character development they did with that. Admittedly, that Snow White from the original one from, 1930s is quite a bit more of like that style of like this housewife, this very good domestic, this, classic version of a princess. Nowadays, they update a lot more of the princesses, and in Once Upon a Time, they get the ability to do that. With Anna and Elsa, we get a little bit more of this show of, oh yeah, what happened in the movie still happened, because that's still pretty much up to date in regards to the way that the princesses act, but much more modern and much more able to defend themselves. I apologize for any other, or for like random cuts in this, because my allergies are still running and having fun. Not that I'm having fun with them. But, Elsa and Anna and Kristoff are there. And what ends up happening is throughout the course of the season or so where they deal with the frozen arc, where, Elsa is there and she's frozen everything. And well, she doesn't freeze the town, but she freezes the town off from anybody being able to leave. And like her and Emma slowly become friends. And like they're like, okay, well, we'll help you find your sister. And we get these different flashbacks cutting back and forth between, the past and the present, of course, to slowly fill in more of the gaps about what happened to, Elsa and Anna and Kristoff and what's been going on for the past, so many years. Because Elsa doesn't know how long she was trapped inside of this urn. She just knows that she was trapped in the urn. And what ends up happening is David, Prince Charming, realizes that he knows who Anna is, because she at one point traveled from Arendelle to the Enchanted Forest in order to try to find something that would be able to help her sister, or be able to help find out what happened with their parents. Because in Frozen 2, we learn, of course, what happened to their parents in context of the movie, but what happens in the Frozen section of Once Upon a Time is a bit different. They were trying to travel to... They were trying to make their way to the Enchanted Forest to try to talk to Rumpelstiltskin to try to find out information about a way that they could help Anna. And we do eventually find out what they were trying to find. We learn that they were trying to find this necklace that's called a wishing star. And we find out by the end of near the end of the whole Frozen section of Once Upon a Time that Anna has actually had that wishing star piece the entire time with her. But they didn't know that, because that comes into play. And what ends up happening is we are introduced to this other character whose name is Ingrid. And for Ingrid's past, we find out that she is actually Elsa and Anna's aunt on their mother's side. And what they do with this is, in the Frozen, in the actual movies, their father is the one that holds the royal line. Their father is the one who, is the royal, was king, and, his father was king before him and such like that. In this section, for the Once Upon a Time section, it's their mother and her sisters were the daughters of the king and queen of Arendelle at the time. And Ingrid was the oldest, and she had two younger sisters, Helga and Gerda. And she's had ice powers all of her life. Ingrid has had ice powers all of her life. And her sisters one day were almost kidnapped, and Ingrid was able to defend them with her ice powers. And then she was worried about her two sisters being terrified of her because of her powers. And they made a pact with these 3 ribbons from this kite that they were playing with. Hi. Are you going to stay? You want to help me tell the story? Can you sit? He's like, they can watch me. And what happens is they make this pact, these bonds with these bows, these ribbons from this kite that they have, and they wear these ribbons for the next however many years, sitting that, these are our ribbons that, represent us and everything. And, they represent our bond. And then years later, on their father's 70th birthday, Ingrid is the oldest, therefore she is the one that would become queen when their father dies. Her sisters and her still have this very close relationship, but Ingrid has kind of like closed herself off from the rest of the family. Not necessarily from their father, but from the rest of the kingdom, because she's, of course, same fear that Elsa had, worried about using her ice powers and accidentally hurting someone. And what we see happen is she does go to the ball. We also see one of the sisters, I think it's Helga, that kind of falls in love with the Duke of Weaselton. Yeah, it's Helga. And he's still this kind of, creepy guy that just wants to get, information on the crown and everything, kind of the way that Hans was. And what happens is Ingrid, Helga, and Gerda ends up being Elsa and Anna's mother. Again, they kind of changed the names a little bit in regards to that, because in Frozen and the actual canon of Frozen for the movies, their mother's name is Iduna, as opposed to Gerda. And what happens is the three sisters travel to the Enchanted Forest, where they end up, well, it's called Misthaven is also what the other name for it is, for the Enchanted Forest, where they meet with Rumpelstiltskin, and in exchange for their ribbons, he gives Ingrid this pair of gloves that will cancel out her powers, and an urn that can entrap her if she becomes too dangerous, because that's part of her fear. Her sisters are not afraid of her, but she is, she's still worried about hurting anyone, and she wants to make sure that there is this backup plan in case she does, her power does go out of control. And unfortunately, something like that does happen. When Duke of Weselton does try to, get Ingrid, and he ends up, getting attacked by her, and unfortunately he sees her use her power, and then unfortunately Helga ends up getting hit with the power, and she become frozen the way that Anna did, except much faster. And the dog is eating his foot again. And Helga Helga dies, and the Duke runs off, and then Ingrid and Gerda are there, and Gerda uses the urn, and she traps Ingrid inside of the urn, out of more of this, oh my god, what just happened moment, and it's more this reflexive thing, and she traps her sister in the urn. And then she goes to the trolls, where she speaks to Grandpavi, and she's like, okay, I need you to erase the kingdom's memories of my sisters, of Ingrid and Helga, because we can't move forward if everybody knows what happened with them. And he agrees, and he tells her that there will be a price for the magic. And Gerda's like, I already paid the price, because it cost her both of her sisters. And Pavi's like, you're not the one that gets to decide that. And he traps the kingdom's memories inside of this stone, and he gives it to Gerda. And then, Gerda then marries, and she becomes the queen of Arendelle, and her two daughters, Elsa and Anna, grow up, and Elsa has the same powers that her sister has. And what ends up happening is, years later, when Elsa and Anna are both all grown up and everything, Elsa ends up learning about this cave that holds this power in it that could be very helpful to her. During the same time frame, Hans has returned with his 12 brothers, ready to try to take over Arendelle. And Kristoff and Anna, this version of Anna doesn't really care for Kristoff that much. She's, it's like, she doesn't warm up to him, Frozen joke, as quickly as movie Elsa does to movie Kristoff. There's a little bit more of this tension between the two of them, but they both love Anna, so they're willing to put up with each other to a degree. And Kristoff ends up helping Elsa get to where this power is, and they find out that it's this urn. And this is all kind of broken up to the part. It's like, oh, well, who's this person? And so I'm just kind of doing this in chronological order for what actually happens in the story. And what ends up happening is, Elsa and Kristoff make their way there, and they find the urn, and they open the urn, and out comes Ingrid, who's been in this urn for the past however many years. And Hans and his brother show up, and she freezes Hans, and which he kind of deserves. And she then, she explains to she explains to Elsa, oh, I'm your aunt. You and I both have the same powers. You must be Gerda's daughter. Blah, 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 blah. She finds out what's been going on in the kingdom for the past however many years. And she starts to build this kinship with Elsa because they both have the same ice powers. And things are actually going kind of well for the two of them. They've trapped Hans and his brothers and everything, so they can't leave. And what ends up happening is later when Anna comes back, Anna has been off in the in Misthaven in the Enchanted Forest, where she had met David, because David and Kristoff actually know each other, because Kristoff has traveled to the Enchanted Forest multiple times. And Anna actually helps David learn how to be a better sword fighter, learn how to be stronger, learn how to stand up for himself and his mother and their land. And then those skills he then develops more into what he becomes for Prince Charming and, being with Snow White and everything. So we see all of that. And Anna ends up going to Rumpelstiltskin, and she's like, okay, well, I would like to have some information about what happened with my parents. And he's like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll read you, I'll give you the information. But first, there's something I need you to do for me. You see, there's this old man. He likes to eat children or something. And I need you to go, and I need you to give him this vial. I need you to get him to drink this poison or whatever. And once you do that and you come back, then I will give you the information you want from your parents, why your parents were here in the first place. And Anna goes to where this old guy is. This old guy he's the one that ends up becoming, or that's revealed to be, the sorcerer's apprentice. So he's kind of the quote-unquote Mickey-ish type character. And he's this very old and very wise character that knows so much about like how magic works and stuff like that. And Anna goes to him, and she can't bring herself to poison him, so she goes back to Rumpelstiltskin, and she's like, I couldn't do it. And he's like, oh, well, you see, that's the antidote to the poison that he drank yesterday. And then they reveal that he got turned into a mouse, which is where we get the whole, Sorcerer's Apprentice is a mouse thing, because I love that joke. And then Anna goes back, and she actually helps the Sorcerer's Apprentice gets turned back to normal by actually stealing the dagger from Rumpelstiltskin and forcing him to, turn the apprentice back to normal and then send her back to Arendelle. She also has with her this kind of, it's not a box, but, well, it is kind of a box, that is actually the sorcerer's hat in disguise. So it's like this pretty little like jewelry box looking thing with like stars on the top of it. And that's actually quite a relevant thing throughout the course of this section of the series for Once Upon a Time, because that hat, the thing has the ability to turn into the sorcerer's hat from the Sorcerer's Apprentice that can hold in so much magic. Petty baby. And what ends up happening is, Rumpelstiltskin is, of course, extremely angry about all of this. And Anna gets back to, Arendelle, where she ends up meeting her new aunt. And, Anna then ends up meeting Belle because reasons. And they go on this adventure because Belle wants to find out information about her mother. And then she wants to remember how her mother died. And then, so they interact with the trolls. And then Anna gets captured by Ingrid because Ingrid had thought that Elsa and Anna could be her new sisters. Elsa she can connect with. Anna she can't connect with because she does something and then Anna sees her do it, and then Anna starts to see her not as a monster, but she's more scared of her and she's more wanting to know what was going on, questioning her. Admittedly, in Ingrid's defense, because I will do the devil's advocate, she has been trapped in an urn for the past at least 20 years, 20, 25, 30-ish years, give or take, however long it took Gerda to get married and then have Anna and Elsa. And then for them to grow up, of course, so at least 21 to 22 to 23 years or so, 25 years at the most, probably. And so we see all of this. And Ingrid is actually this representation of the Snow Queen from the actual fairy tale, from the actual Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale. That's what Ingrid is supposed to represent. Because she uses this spell called the Spell of Shattered Sight that allows her to make someone be their worst self. And she uses this spell on Anna to then make Anna put Elsa in the urn, which is really, really sad because normally, of course, Anna would never do that to her sister. but Ingrid uses the spell to warp Anna and make Anna then do this, because this is what the worst version of Anna would do, is be terrified of her sister and see her as a monster, and then would trap her. And she does. And then Ingrid releases her from the spell, and Anna knows what she did during that time frame, and she of course blames herself for it. And then Ingrid then freezes Anna and Kristoff and the kingdom of Arendelle, and then has herself perfectly fine. And then this is when Rumpelstiltskin shows back up, and they have this very interesting relationship where he says puppy. They have this very interesting relationship. They're not in love or anything like that, but between her and, between Rumpelstiltskin and Ingrid, he gets a hold of the urn that had Elsa in it, and then Ingrid then ends up going to the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and she's like, okay, I need you to help me find my happy ending. And he's like, okay, here's what I can do. There will be another one. Another sister of blonde hair with magic like yours. That would fit with you and Anna, or you and Elsa. She will not be born for another 28 years, Emma. And she will not be born in this world, or she will not be in this world, she will be in another world. And she's like, okay, well then send me to that world. Which he does. He sends her through this portal into the realm without magic, where Emma will then be placed, so many months later or so, for the prophecy when, the curse comes and sweeps them all away back to, sweeps them into Storybrooke for the first time. And she then, Ingrid then lands in the real world, and, she has to, learn how to navigate, our world, the world without magic, modern world. She has to learn how to navigate that. And eventually she does, and then so many years later, when Emma is in her teens, she ends up, because Emma, of course, bounces around in the foster system, of course, she ends up at the house, the foster home that is run by Ingrid. And this man, who I guess is some form of her husband or whatever the case may be. And they end up there, Emma ends up there, and she actually ends up getting along very well with Ingrid. The two of them actually get along extremely well. And Ingrid even gets the adoption papers to be able to be able to adopt Emma. And Emma is very happy about this. She's about 14 at the time, so this is before she's run away, obviously. And she's like, oh yeah, I would love that. And then unfortunately what ends up happening is Ingrid, who has become a little bit too obsessed with trying to get her, her and her two sisters, in this case Elsa and then Emma, for the three of them to be together, because all she's wanted for so many years is this bond between her and her sisters. And she remembers, Gerda and Helga, but they still in the end ended up being afraid of her. And she doesn't want that. She wants two sisters that will love her for who she is and not be terrified of her. Which, trust me, I can understand where she's coming from. I love my sister, and I would do nearly anything for her. And I wouldn't want her to be terrified of me if I had any form of power or anything like that. And I would hope that she wouldn't be terrified of me if I had any form of power like that. But Ingrid, unfortunately, has, kind of the way that Elsa did, distanced herself. Whereas at this point in the time for Elsa, she's opened up to Anna. Her and Anna have a much better relationship. Elsa is learning to control her powers even better. And, all of that. Basically what happened in the Frozen movie. In the first one. And Ingrid tries to get Emma to, use her magic, because she thinks that the magic is awakening in Emma. And she tries to get her to use that. And it does not work. And Emma thinks that Ingrid is then crazy, because she had pulled her in front of an oncoming car. Yeah, I don't blame Emma for thinking that Ingrid is crazy in that sense. Emma then runs away, and she ends up getting taken into a different foster home somewhere else. But she runs away, and then Ingrid then uses her power to go to where Storybrooke will be, and she gets her way into Storybrooke. And then for the next, I guess it would be 14 years or so, because on Emma's 28th birthday is when she returns, she ends up, Ingrid has made herself into this Ben and Jerry's ice cream place in the town, where she has, all these different flavors of ice cream and everything. And whether or not she's had her ice magic the entire time, or whether or not it only returned to her when magic returned to Storybrooke, I don't think we ever get 100% explanation of that. But she's, made her way to, getting into, Storybrooke, and she set herself up there, and that's where she is for the next 14 years or so, waiting for Emma to show up. And then when Emma does show up, Emma, of course, remembers Ingrid. Ingrid then, takes away Emma's memories from the time when Emma was with her, and then she then, is very nice to Emma and everything. And then she basically waits for when the magic comes back, and for when Emma has her power, and for, when, she can then start, getting her plan more ready for when Elsa and Anna show up. I'll give it to Ingrid. She can be a very patient woman, which is one of the things that they do with the Snow Queen in the actual fairy tale, is that the Snow Queen has been waiting hundreds of years for this thing to happen, for certain things to line up. And what ends up happening is, Emma and Elsa, during this time frame, once Elsa arrives in Storybrooke, the two of them have started to get very close, become very good friends. And Elsa actually even helps Emma with getting past certain things with her own magic. But during this time frame, Ingrid is out, and she ends up, she's revealed that she's, the Ice Queen, as they keep referring to her as. And she, works and works on trying to build this, what she needs in order to, implement her plan. And she, she's manipulating people, she's messing with memory, she's doing all this other stuff. In the current timeline for Storybrooke, and our timeline for Storybrooke, in Storybrooke itself, and we're getting the flashbacks and everything, revealing what happens with Anna and Elsa and Belle and Kristoff and all this other stuff, and Rumpelstiltskin, jumping back and forth the way that Once Upon a Time does. And Rumpelstiltskin knows who, of course, Ingrid is. And one of the things that ends up happening is, Emma and Elsa, of course, are becoming good friends, as I mentioned, and Ingrid is encouraging this. And then later on, what ends up happening is Ingrid is also very manipulative. So she keeps telling Emma, oh, you'll know who I am soon, and you two will be coming with me very soon of your own accord. I just want my sisters. And, we see these great interactions between her and Rumpelstiltskin, where she's like, you need this, I need this, we can work together, you want this, I want this is where we can work together. And one of the things that Ingrid wants is she wants her 3 ribbons back that her and her sisters used to wear. And, she's working on this spell that's called the Spell of Shattered Sight. And she gets, different things that she needs for that. And she has this great, ice lair that she built for herself, which is awesome. And, throughout the course of this time frame, we do get, references to the movie. At one point, Elsa built herself a giant staircase, in, the hills area around Storybrooke. She builds a giant ice staircase as a reference to that, of course. And, we get demonstrations of, what Ingrid's magic is capable of and what Elsa's magic is capable of. And during this time frame, Emma is starting to learn more and more about her own magic, from Regina and everything like that. So we're getting a lot of those types of things. And one of the things that ends up happening is, you know, Ingrid allows herself to be captured. And she has also been, like, you know, talking with Emma, and she points out to them, because this is during the time frame when David and Mary Margaret have their second child, have Neil, their son, who is named after Neil, you know, Balefire, Rumpelstiltskin's son, who is also Henry's father. I'm going to do a whole video about, like, Henry's family tree at some point from Once Upon a Time. But what else we see is Ingrid allows herself to be captured, and she basically asks us, like, whispering in Emma's ear. And Emma, to a degree, is somewhat jealous that, like, Neil is getting, like, this sort of attention and baby time with their parents and everything the way that she never did. But it's combinations of, like, Emma still learning to control her magic, which, as I mentioned with Elsa in the previous video, your magic is tied to your emotions, and such like that. And Emma is, you know, kind of, her emotions are getting a little bit out of whack between everything that's going on with the Ice Queen, between other things that are getting revealed, between other things that have been revealed about, like, her parents and different things like that. They're all kind of going out of whack at this point in time. And what ends up happening is, you know, Ingrid is, of course, going to release this spell of Shattered Sight all over Storybrooke. And as I mentioned, it's basically what she did to Anna. She uses the spell of Shattered Sight to make everyone see the worst in themselves, make everyone their worst self. And this is a full-on reference to something that happens in the Snow Queen story, and I guess a different fairy tale or so, because Belle states that, okay, so the spell of Shattered Sight was created by a king who had loved his daughter so much, and she had died. And he had this mirror, and he cursed the mirror to shatter and then make all of his citizens as miserable as him, because his daughter died, and he wants to, you know, make them as, you know, sad as he is. And it makes them turn into their worst selves. And that's what Ingrid's plan is. Her plan is to basically trap Storybrooke and then release the spell of Shattered Sight to make everyone their worst selves, and then basically make everybody kill each other one way or another. Because the only way that you're immune to it is if you've had it done to you before. So, like, Anna would be immune to it because she's already had it done to her before. Or if you're like Rumple and you're able to resist it. Or if you're like Hook, who at this point of time is running around with his heart being controlled by Rumpelstiltskin, so he's immune from it. Or Ingrid is, of course, immune from it because she is the one that is casting the spell. And she puts the other two ribbons on Elsa and Anna, or on Elsa and Emma, along with herself, to then make it that they are then immune from the spell, because she wants her two sisters to be safe, because her plan is to literally, well, I just want Storybrooke. I want basically to have everybody else kill each other, and then I have Emma and Elsa as my sisters, and they will be forced to be with me, because force the two of them kind of to be happy with me, because everybody else will be gone. And they will also have basically seen the way that, you know, quote unquote, everybody truly feels about them as, you know, these horrible, you know, sees them as monsters. And so we're getting all of this stuff. And this, you know, and during this point of time, off in Arendelle, in the magical realm, Anna and Kristoff have unfrozen. Haha. Thankfully, like, before I watched this, before I did these two videos, my mom and I have, like, just finished up the Frozen arc in Once Upon a Time. Have literally just basically finished that up. So it's like, okay, this will be easy. This is very clear and fresh in my mind. So that's helpful. But what we see happen is Anna and Kristoff unfreeze, and Anna remembers what she did to Elsa, trapping her. And they're like, okay, well, we gotta find Elsa. We gotta find wherever Elsa went. And they try to get help from Blackbeard, and then they end up getting, you know, Blackbeard has been, like, Blackbeard basically got, you know, bribed by Hans, because Hans and his brothers are still in Arendelle, and they use the money to then bribe Blackbeard. And then they throw Anna and Kristoff into the water in a trunk, you know, and we do get this sweet moment because this whole thing with Elsa and Anna kind of started with Kristoff has proposed to Anna, so they're getting ready for the wedding, and Elsa had found their mother's wedding dress for Anna to wear. And then they found this letter from their mother that said, or this journal from their mother that said, we need to find something that can help Elsa. And Elsa got very scared of that because she took that as, something that's going to take away my powers or something along those lines. Because during that time frame, that was, when the journal was written was when she was still isolated and everything and having a hard time controlling her powers. And Emma and Kristoff are, chained together and they're in this treasure chest. And they're thrown into the water and they're supposed to sink. And the chest is slowly filling up. And Anna kind of tries to do her vows with Kristoff because she's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die having married you. Type of thing. And Kristoff is like, no, you're not doing that. We're not doing that here. You and I are going to make it through this. We are going to find Elsa and we are going to be okay. And it's like, okay, good on you, Kristoff. Go Kristoff. They found great people to play these guys, particularly so close after the movie came out. They found great actors and actresses to play these characters. For all the different characters from the Frozen world. And what ends up happening is Anna just starts wishing and wishing to be with Elsa again. And this is revealed when she's been wearing the wishing star the entire time. Because it was a necklace that Anna gave her. Or that Elsa gave her. And she has the wishing star and she wishes and they end up... No. She had it the entire time. Or is it that, it's just before the spell of Shattered Sight is going to be released onto Storybrooke, Elsa and Emma have found the wishing star, and they're using that to bring, they're using the wishing star to bring Anna and Kristoff to them. And they bring the chest, and it lands on the beach of Storybrooke, and Anna and Kristoff get out of it, and they're there, and Anna and Elsa are reunited, and then that's when the spell of Shattered Sight comes down, and everyone just starts acting like their worst selves. Emma and David are just bickering and arguing. Regina tried to lock herself in her dungeon to then prevent herself from turning in, she does still turn into the evil queen, and of course she puts all of that blame onto Emma, and so everybody is just Storybrooke is in chaos at this point in time, because the shattered glass from the mirror that Ingrid made just wraps around the entire town and affects everyone regardless of where you are. I'm in this room, I'm closed off from everyone. It finds its way in, and I swear the only ones that are not affected by it are Emma, Anna, Elsa. Kristoff starts being very mean. And the babies, because there's several babies in Storybrooke at this point in time, and Emma is determined to protect Neil, her little brother, of course. She's determined to protect him, and we do get to see some very interesting fights, because it has no prevalence really to what Ingrid is actually off doing, but Emma and Elsa have to find their way to where Regina is, because they need her to release them from the ribbons, because they can't use their magic with the ribbons on. And they do get to where, Regina is, and she uses her power on them. Hate, because at that point in time she hates Emma. And she, releases them from that. And then, unfortunately, that results in Regina escaping her dungeon that was supposed to keep her there to keep everybody else safe. It's I'm not trapping myself in here to keep myself safe. I'm keeping myself trapped in here because I want to keep everybody else safe. And she, so Regina goes off and she finds her way to the police station, which is where Snow and David are. And Kristoff is there too. Kristoff is chained to the desk or something. And, Snow and David have chained themselves inside of the the cells at the police station and everything. And so they're just like, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Um, and and like they're just like bickering and arguing with each other about like all these horrible things and everything like that, and like all this stuff is their worst selves. And Regina shows up, and like her and Snow basically have like this like sword magic fight, which is really fun. And um, I swear to God, I'm sure the actresses loved getting to do that because Regina is like in her amazing like black corset outfits and everything, and it's just fun. But what ends up happening is Anna and Elsa and Emma end up finding this bottle, this like encrusted crustacean bottle that actually has a letter in it from Anna and Elsa's mother. It washed up on the beach with the trunk with them. And it explains in the letter that this letter holds the memories of Ingrid. And she then goes, they run their way to where Ingrid's hideout is, because that's where she's staying in her little, snow palace hideout thing that she created. And they go there and they give her the letter. Anna reads this letter from their mother, Gerda, and that she's sorry for what she did. She's sorry for everything that happened, and that, this stone will release all the memories of Ingrid. The problem is that the stone also held Ingrid's memories to a degree of her sisters. And she reads over the letter. They give her the letter and she reads it over. And she realizes what she's been doing was wrong. That, she's just, I've done all of this because I wanted my sisters, because I didn't want to be seen as a monster. And all of this made me a monster. And she uses her power to reverse the spell of Shattered Sight. And basically what that implies is that she has to reabsorb all of that, all of the pieces, all of the spell, and it will kill her. And Anna and Elsa and Emma are there watching as she, is pulling all of this power into her to to stop the curse, to free everyone from the curse. And she does, and she says goodbye to Emma and Elsa and Anna, and she's like, Emma was supposed to lead me to my happiness, to my happy ending, and you have. And she dies because she's like, I hope that I can, by doing this, that I can redeem myself from what I've done, and that I can be reunited with Gerda and Helga in the afterlife. And she, pulls all of that power into her from the curse, and she does die. And she is able to, she has all of her memories back. She frees the memories from the spell of Shattered, from her sister, and she frees Storybrooke from the spell of Shattered Sight. And we do get this moment where we get like this look-see where Ingrid and her sisters are little girls again, and they're reunited and everything in the great beyond. And she's free, and it frees everybody else from the spell. And Anna and Elsa and Kristoff now need to find a way to get home because they have to go deal with Hans. And via certain things, Rumpel tells them, well, there's this door in this random, new enchanted house thing that showed up, and it'll take you back to, Arendelle and everything. And they do get back to Arendelle, and they dethrone Hans and his 12 brothers, and they sent them off or capture them or whatever. And then Anna then gets to walk, or Elsa again then gets to walk Anna down the aisle to marry Kristoff, because at this point she's like, yeah, Kristoff has proven himself. I approve of him. He's fine. I approve of him being your husband. And so they do that. We do get one other tie-up with that because Elsa uses her magic to like shrink the Jolly Roger, which is currently Blackbeard's ship because he took it from Hook, and shrink that and like put it in like a ship in a bottle. And Ariel ended up getting trapped in that, so she was trapped in the bottle for a while, and then they free the Jolly Roger, and she's like, yeah, well, I'm not really mad at the Queen of Arendelle for doing that, because she was, like, trapping Blackbeard's ship, as, like, punishment. So yeah, now I gotta go find now I gotta go find Eric again. But yeah, so we get to see all this, and like Elsa is very happy with Anna, and Kristoff, she's like, okay, Kristoff has proven himself, and she's fine with that. And we see this portrait of Ingrid and Helga and Gerda from when they were younger, at this great ball and everything, before everything went wrong. And, they're all just very happy with each other. I don't think we ever get anything else that talks about like Elsa and Anna and Kristoff in that. It was kind of like we'll finish it up with this because Frozen was so big. We wanted to tie stuff from Once Upon a Time into Frozen, which makes sense. But we don't really have too much else to do with that. We have these and we have this, but it's kind of okay. We tied it up this way. We worked in more of the actual story from the the Snow Queen story, because in the Snow Queen story there is this mirror that she's trying to make, and she needs certain people to help her make it. So there's references to that. Again, I might do something where I actually do a series where I actually read or talk about some more of the different fairy tales that I like, but that'll be like down the line after I get like all caught up on the Disney movies and then get some other stuff taken care of. But we'll see what happens with that, because I just like fairy tales. I've always liked fairy tales. So that's what we have for that. I figured most of the video was just going to be me talking about Once Upon a Time, because it's like I just watched what happened in the Frozen arc for Once Upon a Time, so I'm very familiar with everything that just happened for the most part. I probably missed a couple of details here and there, and I apologize. But they're able to, they worked in all of the characters except Olaf. I think we might see like a moving snowman at some point, but like Olaf is not like specifically stated to be around. Which I'm like, I can give and take Olaf. But yeah, if they brought back Elsa and Anna at some point, I would have been fine with that, but I don't think they ever do. There's like a reference to them somewhere else, because like at some point we see like Halloween later on down the line, like two kids are dressed like Elsa and Anna. But that's what we have for that, for the Frozen Part 2. As I said, I do believe the next one will be, I think it's Big Hero 6 that is the next one, which, again, I love Big Hero 6. So that's what we have. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And from me and Rainy, I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Rainy, you want to say goodbye? Rainy, you want to say goodbye? Bye-bye. The only way to ever truly be in control of your powers is to embrace them.